What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Tonight, we talking about something that cuts deeper than a viral moment and deeper than a misplaced opinion on the internet. We talking about the value of reading and the danger of pretending it doesn't matter. Because when Juelz Santana said kids don't need to know how to read, that wasn't just an off-the-cuff comment. That was a window into a much bigger problem in our culture. A problem where full-grown adults are avoiding reading like it's a chore, like it's some type of punishment, like it's a burden they can opt out of. A problem where people think listening is the same as learning. Let me be.
Nah, but seriously though,
G
shit though, we gotta start teaching our kids though, just financial wealth and literacy and all that shit early, because by the time they get to 9th grade, they should be just learning how to start businesses and how to. But they don't really need to know how to read.
Wait, stop.
I ain't gonna say that. I say that respectfully. I'm not saying that in a way to be literate, because you're not supposed to be illiterate, but you can.
What's more important, reading or math?
Math.
Told you.
Math. I think you could listen to a book on YouTube. You can still obtain the information. You don't have to know how to read. That's not reading and understanding. I believe common sense is better than everything. I'm a common sense nigga. I'd rather have zero book smarts and common sense, be able to read the room, be able to read life, be able to read people. I try to understand people, you know what I'm saying? Like, nowadays, you can listen to a book. I just listen to the 48 Laws of Power.
You gotta read your contract, Els.
You don't have to understand. You can listen to that too. They got apps you can put it in and it'll read it to you. Are you crazy?
Huh?
It probably will. AI will now. That's what I'm saying. That's how freaky it is.
You don't have to read. Shit can be told to you.
It'll be so. I'm not saying that in a bad way. Like you don't need to know how to read.
At a restaurant. Floyd Mayweather don't read that shit at a restaurant. Like, it's mad shit you gotta read.
You saying that, you just gotta know what you like.
You know what I want.
You ain't gotta read the restaurant. You can just say, what is this, a steak joint? I want steak, nigga. What y'all steak come with?
Let me be crystal clear. Listening is a tool. Reading is fundamental. There's a difference between hearing information and understanding information. And reading is what builds that understanding. Look, you can listen all day long. You can hear motivational speeches, interviews, podcast highlights, audio books, YouTube breakdowns. But if you never learn how to sit down, focus, slow your mind, and absorb information with your own eyes, you are always learning through the lens of somebody else's filter. You are always dependent on somebody else's interpretation of the truth. That's why reading isn't just important, it's liberating. Because reading puts you in control of what you know. And that's what makes what Juelz said so dangerous. Not because it was silly, but because too many people are already living like it's true. People will scroll all day long, but they won't read anything longer than a paragraph. People will watch hours of videos, but they won't read the paperwork that got their name on it. That's where the trouble really begins. Because the stuff that decides your life don't come in audio form. That court letter don't come with a narrator. The lease agreement don't come with a play button. The contract that can change your whole life don't come with a listen instead of read option. And nobody should have to read it out loud to you like you in the 3rd grade. Adults need to read, and kids definitely need to read. We're not gonna let an entire generation grow up thinking literacy is an option. We're not gonna pretend like common sense can replace a skill humans have depended on for generations. Listening is great, but listening without reading is like living in a house with no foundation. Everything feels fine until one strong wind blows through your life and you realize you built everything on sand. And then you want to know who lied to you. Listen, reading is not just words on a page. It's about how your brain works. When you read, you build memory. When you read, you build focus. When you read, you learn how to think in complete sentences, not clips and sounds and short bursts of attention. Reading builds depth. Listening builds momentum. You need both. But only one of them holds you down when life gets real. And it's not the audio version. Let's stop pretending like reading is some relic from the past. It's not a typewriter. Reading is still the most efficient, most direct, most accurate way to learn anything. And anybody who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you short. It's not just about children. Adults are struggling too. There are people who haven't read a full book since middle school. People who haven't read a full contract in their entire lives. People out here signing documents like they signing an autograph. And then wondering why life keeps catching them slipping. And that's why this Juelz statement hit the internet like a spark in a dry forest. Because it wasn't just a bad take. It was a take that too many people are already living by. And we can't let that slide. Not in this generation. Not with this level of information out here. Listening will motivate you. Reading will equip you. Listening will inspire you. But reading will prepare you. Listening tells you what to think about. Reading teaches you how to think. Listen, we live in a generation where people want the benefits of knowledge without the discipline of learning. Everybody wants information fast, but nobody wants to put in the work to understand anything. And listen, this ain't me being hard on people. This is me telling the truth as a grown man who see what's going on. When you don't read, you are dependent on somebody else to think for you. And that is the fastest way to get played, manipulated, misled, and signed into something that destroys your future. That's why education still matters. Not the part where you recite facts, the part where you actually build a brain that can protect you. People ask why reading matters. It matters because the world is built on words, not sounds. The world runs on documents, agreements, statements, requirements, instructions, policies, terms, conditions, rights, obligations, and rules. And none of that is spoken to you. It's written. And if you can't read, then you can't understand the world you live in. That's why cultures that survived throughout history had one priority. Teach your people how to read. Teach them how to think. Because when you control your literacy, you control your destiny. When you don't, the world controls it for you. And this is where the irony hits. Same people who say reading don't matter is the same people who got caught off guard through paperwork. The same people who think audio is enough are the same people getting manipulated by people who read everything. The game does not reward illiteracy. Every contract in the music business is designed for the person that knows the most. Every legal document is designed for the person that understands the fine print. The person who can read wins. The person who can't read hopes for mercy. And this is why Juelz's statement can't be taken lightly, because we already have too many people growing up with the mentality of, I'll just Google it later. Well, later always comes, and later is never smarter. This generation loves shortcuts, but learning was never designed to be a shortcut. It was designed to be an advantage. Reading makes you dangerous in a good way. Reading makes you hard to trick. Reading makes you too smart to be led by emotions or manipulated by headlines. Reading makes you a thinker, not just a listener. And I need people to understand me clearly tonight. Not knowing how to read don't make you a bad person, but pretending reading doesn't matter makes you a vulnerable one. And I can speak from experience. Grown folks know exactly when their life started to turn around. First time they picked up a book. First time they read a contract. First time they studied something, not because they had to, but because they needed to. That's when everything changes. And that's the part Juelz missed completely. Not because he's a bad person, but because his statement came from an old wound, not wisdom. When you grew up without education, you sometimes learn to justify the pain instead of heal it. It's easier to say reading don't matter instead of saying I struggle with reading. It's easier to pretend you don't need it. Listen, I'm not here to laugh at Juelz Santana. I'm here to make sure nobody else repeats his mistake. There are people building $1 million businesses because they read one book. There are people avoiding prison sentences because they read one document and caught one sentence that changed their life. Reading is the difference between knowing your worth and hoping somebody tell you. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying tonight. Reading will save your life long before any viral take will. Nobody in history ever said, I lost everything because I read too much. But people lose everything every day because they didn't read enough. That's why this conversation is serious. This ain't about a podcast moment. This is about a culture of people who want all the benefits of knowledge without any of the effort. So I'm gonna take y'all out like this. Listening gives you a story. Reading gives you a strategy. And in a world designed to confuse you, the person who reads will always be 10 steps ahead of the person who didn't. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.